All right,
Lori's
I would like to call over the regular meeting of the Perry Municipal Authority, November 7th, 2022 at 6:15. Roll call, please.
Wines. Here. Marshall.
Here.
White.
Here.
Coffee.
Here.
Brown. Williams.
Here.
Bond.
Here.
Goldar.
Here.
Stroller.
Here. I do declare a quorum. Will you join me in invocation, please? Dear Heavenly Father, I want to thank you for this night. I want to thank you for the opportunity for us to gather as a council to do the business of the city of Perry. I just ask that you be with us this evening and guide us and direct us in the right decisions, and for us to have open minds and listen to each other and be able to give our input. I pray all these things through your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen. Item number 1 is the consent agenda. There's 3 items to be considered.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Wines.
Yes.
Marshall.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Coffee.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Bond.
Yes.
Goldar.
Yes.
Stroller.
Yes. Item 4, comments from those assembled pertaining to the items on the PMA agenda. Hearing none. Item 5, proclamation, combination reports inquired by the governing body. Hearing none. Item 6 is receive a presentation from OMPA, and they are not here. So we're going to skip that. And item 7 also, Bryce?
That's correct.
Okay. So we will be moving on to item 8. If they show up in the next little bit, we'll try to head back that way. Ratification of ordinance number 2022-22 of the City of Perry, Oklahoma, amending Chapter 16, Article 2 of the Perry Municipal Code 2022 by addition of a new section 16-209 entitled Fuel Flowage Fee and Temporary Aerial Application Site Fee, providing for additional fees at the Perry Municipal Airport, providing for repeal or savings codification, severability, penalty, and declaring an emergency. So what this is, I don't know if Terrence wants to talk or not, but if we're basically talking about the folks that do aerial spraying, and if they want to bring in their own fuel, they have to pay us 10 cents a gallon. Is that correct, Terrence?
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay. And rather than, some of them may want to do that rather than buy fuel at the airport. And so if they don't buy fuel at the airport, we're not making a dime. So, and then the other thing is if they want a site, if they want to come in for a temporary site to set up, to be able to set up their products and spray out of there, it's $10 a day or $300 a month. So, we don't have an ordinance that, like this, so we decided that this is something we probably need to cover.
Yeah, and I can explain a little more on it if you have any questions, but it's just mainly, it's a couple things that I've noticed along the way that it seemed to be a recurring event, so I was like, yeah, it's probably time to put this on.
This is a little bit different than our current agreement with, right?
With Heinen Brothers, the ones you're talking about, the fuel flowage fee.
Hey, Terrence, you can stand up here, please.
The fuel flowage fee is matching Heinen's. The reason I thought we would better put it on there as a overall is because under the grant assurances on the airport, we have to basically do an economic non-discrimination. So by applying it across the field, that limits us from anybody coming and going, hey, you're treating us differently than others. So just makes things a little more uniform. The aerial application site, for probably the past 2 years, I'll get a couple of aerial application guys that kind of move over for a short time, maybe a couple of weeks, something like that. Could be up to a month. But they usually want to take just a small section of the airport that's out of the way, which works for me as long as they're paying us. But I've had it happen enough times that I'm like, we should probably make this uniform as well. Just go ahead and put it on the ordinances, and that way whenever they ask, I'm be like, this is how it works. If you're going to bring your gas, this is what you got. And then it just streamlines the whole ordeal.
But it does match.
Mhm. Yeah, it's standard across at this point.
And this $10 per day or $300 per month, is that pretty standard at other airports? Or?
For the most part, it's the section of area that they're generally use is not it's not really even a tie down, it's off the side, down on one of the old dead runways, so there's really nothing there. And it's not really used for anything in particular, but it does work great for that because it keeps them far enough away from the terminal they can run operations right off the north end of the runway. Makes it quick for them, and it keeps them out of our way if we have other traffic coming in.
And the propane tank, just safety thing.
Yeah, just for, I mean, mostly the propane stuff's just for heating around there. I don't know, it's the only thing they ever use. There's only like 1 or 2 bottles on there. But I thought, you know, we might throw that in there. That way it's not just a blanket of any fuel that's ever brought on that field, because, you know, if it's used for hangar heating, that's a totally different deal. But if there's really nice fuel tanks out there for airplanes, if they're going to choose not to use them, they choose to pay this. Which I figured that's pretty uniform for all the airports around this area, including all the way down to Dallas. That's what they run down there, is a 10-cent flowage fee across the board. If they're not going to use our equipment, that 10 cents is, you know, it doesn't seem like a whole lot, but realistically they're not really harming our equipment because they're not using it. It's not wearing anything out. They bring their own stuff, you know, and if those crop dusters come on there, they'll run through gallons a day that just is insane. I mean, I know when Matt was going hard, it's like 4,000 gallons every 2 weeks is not out of the realm of possibility. So,
Are those Hyman Brothers flying out of Perry?
they haven't this year, not yet. So they came in and they've got their whole setup. It's ready to go, other than bringing some chemical in and stuff like that. But I talked to the operators and they're ready to go this next year.
Because we tried to use them, and we couldn't get to them.
I think they were having some people quit them that were down in this area, and they had to replace them, and it was kind of midway through the season, so you know, it left them high and dry. So they just kind of consolidated and operated out of Blackwell, where they've got another spot.
All right,
So-
any further questions for Terrence? Thank you, Terrence.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, Terrence.
What do you want to do, council?
Motion to ratify ordinance 2022-22.
Second.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Wines? Yes. Marshall?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Coffee?
Yes.
Williams?
Yes.
Bond?
Yes.
Goldar?
Yes.
Stroller?
Yes, thank you.
Motion on emergency?
Yep.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Wines? Yes. Marshall?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Coffee?
Yes.
Williams?
Yes.
Bond?
Yes.
Goldar?
Yes.
Stroller?
Yes, thank you. Item 9, authorize reconditioning of approximately 20 overhead power transformers for an amount not to exceed $30,000 by Northwest Transformers. Guess we have a mess of transformers that we need to have rehabbed, so. And you know how it's hard to get transformers, so maybe this is an option for us.
Is this in the budget?
Not specifically. Not specifically. We do have maintenance and operations cost now, planned as part of our budget process.
What do you want to do, council?
Something needs done, I guess.
Yeah.
So, motion to authorize the reconditioning not to exceed $30,000.
Second.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Wines?
Yes.
Marshall?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Coffee?
Yes.
Williams?
Yes.
Bond?
Yes.
Goldar?
Yes.
Stroller?
Yes. Any new business that needs to come before the authority this evening?
Did we, sorry,
Item 11, motion on adjournment.
before we adjourn, do we want to just, so we can come back? Or,
Recess,
I mean, do we?
in case they come, sure.
I don't, just thought.
Yeah, maybe recess this meeting in case they come.
Okay, I don't care. Motion to recess then.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Lyons,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Coffee,
Yes.
Brown. Sorry, Williams,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Goldar,
Yes.
Stroller.
Yes. You good?
Yeah.
I'd like to call over the regular meeting of the City Council of the City of Perry, November 7th, 2022 at 6:25. Roll call, please.
Lyons. Here. Marshall.
Here.
Coffee,
Here.
White,
Here.
Williams,
Here.
Vaughn,
Here.
and Goldar.
Yes, or here.
What about me?
Stroller. Sorry.
Not present here.
Are you not present here? Okay.
Thought I got cut out for a minute. All right, item number one, I do declare a quorum. Item number one is the consent agenda. There's 7 or 8 items there.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Roll call, please.
Lyons,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Coffee,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Goldar,
Yes.
Stroller.
Yes. Thank you. Item 4, comments from those assembled pertaining to the items on the city agenda. Hearing none. Item 5, proclamation, commendation, and reports by the governing body. Hearing none. Item 6, city manager's remarks. Our city manager is under the weather this evening, so there will be no remarks. Item 7, consider items related to the closeout of the CDBG grant 18527 CDBG 21 for the purchase of a new fire truck and equipment. The first item is hold public hearing on the closeout of the CDBG grant 18527 CDBG 21 for the purchase of a new fire truck and equipment and invite the public to comment. So we are now in a public hearing. We just had some public. So we all know that we got a grant for $300,000 for this new fire truck. And Marita's here. Would you like to comment or?
I would love to comment.
Okay.
So this is part of the process to close out the grant. You have to have a public hearing, and I think there's a statement I typed up for you,
Yes.
the mayor to read. My goal is to have the grant closed out by Friday. I understand you need a letter. Do you need the award letter, or would you like a copy of the contract?
Award letter would be great.
Okay, I can get that to you tomorrow. So the grant, like I said, my goal is to close the grant out on Friday. That makes you eligible to reapply for CDBG funds in January. So just keep that in mind. It's been my pleasure to work with the city on this. It went smooth, fast. They delivered the truck way earlier than what I expected. I thought this was going to be at least an 18-month process, but it wasn't. And I missed the day he brought it over, or the fire department brought it over to present to you guys, but I did make it over to the fire department. We'll go. Met a nice young man named Michael. But anyway, yeah, it's been my pleasure working with you guys. Do you have any questions about future CDBG or anything like that? If not, I've been in contact with Larry, and we're gonna maybe talk about some future projects. But, so thank you.
Well, we appreciate everything.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Any other comments? Okay, we are officially going to close the public hearing. And at this time, it says read the CDBG closeout public hearing minutes. We have minutes for this meeting already. So, the City of Perry CDBG closeout public hearing minutes. Monday, November 7th, 2022, 6:15 at Perry Municipal Court Building at 729 Cedar, Perry, Oklahoma. The public hearing meeting notice was posted in compliance with the Open Meeting Act, and the following was stated by Bill Strutter, mayor of the city, mayor of the public hearing. The City of Perry was awarded a community development block grant through the Oklahoma Department of Commerce to purchase a new fire truck. One, protect benefited The project benefited 57.7% of the low to moderate level income citizens. The grant awarded amount was $300,000. The city's local investment, approximately $300,000 for the purchase of the truck along with the grant administration fee. The project did not result in the displacement or relocation of any citizens. Final inspection was made by the City of Perry's Fire Department and deemed complete. So those are the minutes of the meeting we just had. So now we are going to move to receive and approve the minutes of the Perry CDBG closeout public hearing minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Wines,
Yes?
Marshall,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Coffee,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Bond,
Yes.
Coldiron,
Yes.
Stroller.
Yes, thank you. Consider approval of resolution number 2022-13, approving and accepting the CDBG grant 18527 CDBG 21 for the purchase of a new fire truck and equipment project as completed.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Wines,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Coffee,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Bond,
Yes.
Coldiron,
Yes.
Stroller.
Thank you, yes. Authorize payment to Park Hill for $10,000 for the grant administration fee, which is Marita and her organization.
Yes, and I'm exiting.
Hang on, you may want to see if we pay you.
I trust you. Thanks, everybody.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Marita.
Motion to authorize payment to Park Hill for $10,000.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Wines,
Yes?
Marshall,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Coffee,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Bond,
Yes.
Coldiron,
Yes.
Stroller.
Yes, thank you. Take such other actions as may be directed necessary to close out the CDBG grant. One more time, 18527 CDBG 21, which I don't believe is any.
I know of nothing else.
Okay. We will move on to item 8. Consider appointment of 2 members of the governing body to meet with the architect and SMCA representatives in the recommended process for the selection of construction manager for the hospital remodel. Okay, there's 2 dates set right now. January 23rd, we will have the preliminary design in, and in August of 2023, we should have the final design. So, in not quite a year, we should have the design finalized for the hospital. So, Bryce, would you like to talk about the new market tax credit?
Yeah, I think briefly we'd talk about the kickoff meeting today. And that occurred at 11 o'clock. The architect, Dwayne Robinette, was on the phone, but he had 3 engineers there. One for the mechanical heat and air, one for the electric, and one was a civil engineer. And Merit was there. I asked a bunch of questions, and because I wanted to make... Huh?
It was the Bryce show.
Yeah.
But you brought
Well,
up great points. I thought they were great.
No,
He actually admitted Meredith didn't say much, I did all the talking.
yeah.
So I'm not surprised at this.
But, what I'm interested in is getting to the financing. And to get to the financing, we have to have the preliminary design done. And I wanted to know how concrete will those numbers be? And Stephen told me the numbers really aren't concrete until the construction manager tells us that he's got bids for that amount. But he said, we're probably gonna have to go with, the preliminary design numbers. Now, I have to tell you, my first meeting with them, they said, based on cost and all, the architects said, you probably ought to add $2 million to this. Which really takes it to, probably $10 million or so. And that's just because of supply line problems and increased costs and, what they're going to run into. But we have found $50 million in new market tax credits, and that people that we're working on have gotten them, trying to corral them. And the documents that I sent you today are the first draft of the documents, kind of the application that goes in for the new market tax credit. So I did those this weekend, Friday and this weekend, and those have been sent off to the principals that are going after the new market tax credits. You know, I'm hoping, you know, to get $2.5 million for that. It may only be $2 million. You know, it may be nothing, but I'm very hopeful that we'll be able to get something, because I think if you read it, we really check all the boxes for what they're looking for these types of projects. And the new market tax credits, just to remind you what that is, businesses that pay taxes are supposed to have local and community involvement, okay? And so what they do is, in lieu of them paying taxes to the federal government, they pay a percentage, let's just talk about on $100, they pay $80 to make this simple, okay? And they get $100 federal tax deduction. And that $80 is corralled up into this $50 million, and those dollars are designated according to congressional districts, and so application can be made for those dollars, and so they come to you free of charge. You know, you get those monies free. Now, there are fees to be paid, and the fees are high, okay, but they do come as free dollars to us. I mean, somebody's paying for it, you know, somewhere, but they're free dollars to us. And so those can be added to as a part of the project. So the important dates are preliminary design, January 31st, 2023, final design, maybe August 2023. In the meantime, you appoint a couple people to help us select the construction manager, and all this is worked together. At the meeting today, I was impressed by the engineers. I wanted to make sure that I understood, you know, part of this building is going to be occupied, part of it's going to be unoccupied. So I was wondering, how are they going to do that? And they made it very simple for me. They said that the HVAC, or the air conditioning system, will be separate, but the boilers and the electric will be everything. Okay, so meaning that the boilers and electrics will serve the whole building, okay, and those will be improved. Now, that doesn't mean it's going to be improved in the part, you know, that's not part of the hospital, but the guts of it are going to be improved. And the boiler is going to be improved to serve the whole building. But the air conditioning modules will only be for the building. So that made it fairly simple for me, an easy way to divide, you know, how this is going to go. At least theoretically, that's the way it's going to go now. So the purpose of this item is just to find 2 of your members that may want to join in that construction management. I will probably, if I'm working with those 2, as we move forward, you know, they may get memos from me first about where we are, but I want to try to keep all the council up to speed with everything that's going on. So expect from time to time to get documents like you have, so that everybody here knows. And if anybody wants to add anything, like I said in that memo, that Toro has 1,600 employees, because that's what I once heard. Is that true?
It's muddy in today's, yeah, it's pretty close.
Yeah, so I mean, that's what I threw in there. So if you read this and you go, you know, this may be a better number. Give me a better number if there's a better number, because this is the first draft of it. But and I of course don't want to say something that's, you know, have a quote that isn't correct. So that's what's going on. Things are moving forward on our you know, on the hospital. Oh, one other thing, and that is that the REH, remember the memo that I gave you that said REH designation will come in time, you know, and all that, will that be dragged out? That's all coming together. We think that, you know, shortly after January, we very well could get relicensed. Of course, they have to run this as an acute care facility until March 31st. I mean, under the thing, but, we'll be part of that decision. And on Thursday, Derek and Larry joined me up in Blackwell, and we toured the new building up in Blackwell to kind of get a feel of what this one might look like. And so both Derek and Larry were there. And Derek, if you have any comments,
Looked really nice.
it looked nice. I mean, and the equipment was CT scan and the X-ray. It looked real modern. So
All the equipment was upgraded and it felt like walking in a hospital down the city or anything else like that. So.
It's good.
same architect.
Well, due to what he does and being on the council, I'd like to nominate Scott to be one of these.
Do you need a second on that?
If that's how we're doing this, I don't know how we're.
No, I think
That's fine.
Just
Yeah,
however you
I think
wanna
Scott,
do
you
it.
should be on there, for sure. Unless you say no, but I think we could vote you in anyways.
We got a nomination, do we have a second?
I said second.
Whether he wants to or not.
Yeah, whether you want to or not, then we're gonna say yes, and then you're
Do we
in.
have another nomination?
Or volunteer, it says volunteer.
Jamie?
No, I wasn't volunteering, I was saying I was reading it. There's two that should volunteer.
I know how you like being on committees.
What?
So I know how you like being on committees.
I think either Jamie from her HR background or what you do on a daily basis, or Joe, because he's in construction as well.
Say Joe.
So I heard Scott and Joe, so
Well, and Jamie.
No, I agree, Scott and Joe.
does that sound good?
It works for me.
All right.
Do we need,
you can make that in the form of a motion.
Right there.
I make the motion that we have Scott and Joe as our two volunteers for the governing body to meet with the architect regarding the SMCA representatives. Is that good enough?
Sounds
Yes.
great.
I'll second that.
Roll call.
Wines,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Coffee,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Bond,
Yes.
Coldiron,
Yes.
Schiller.
Yes. Item 9, consider approval of ordinance number 2022-23, amending chapter 18 of the Perry Municipal Code 2022 by the addition of a section 5-112 entitled Residential Building Contractors Annual Registration Fee, providing for registration fee for an annual residential building contractor, providing for repealer savings codification, severability, and declaring an emergency. This is a $20 fee for registration for residential building contractors. Have we not had that, Bryce, in the past?
Yeah, it was a misnomer. It cited a section, and then there was no section in the fee schedule. So, I mean, we're adding something back that wasn't there.
So it's probably, it's $20, so it's not a lot, but I want to ask, so in the ordinance, the actual ordinance isn't actually in our deal, but in looking at that, there is a section, or an item 6 that applies to homeowners and things like that.
Yeah, it's really just a person that engages in, this is a state law, because there is no, the state passed the statute providing for residential building contractors and said that municipalities needed to adopt that state law providing for that. And
For the registration or for a fee and a registration?
a residential building contractor license,
But not the fee necessarily.
but not necessarily the fee.
Okay.
But the section, the section where it's created, it's a big long ordinance, where it's created is just like the state law, says that in title, or chapter 18, which is the fee schedule, there would be a fee, okay? And there was no fee. So we said, So Brian brought this up to me, he said it refers to nothing. And so we checked what everyone else's were, and it was $20, so that's what we're doing here. Or that's what the recommendation is. Now, I will tell you that Brian did recommend that we take this code to a national publisher. It's gonna be kind of neat when we put it in the code, because there will be a search engine, and it's not costing a great deal of money, but our municipal code will be better online in kind of web format, instead of just, all there in PDF.
It's not.
Yeah, it will be.
No, it already is.
Oh, it is? Oh, okay. So that has,
Searchable. You're talking about searchable and
Yeah.
all that thing.
okay, so that has been implemented.
It's just a PDF though, right?
No.
No?
No, it goes out to another source. I mean,
Okay, so that is
It's
the-
posted somewhere else. and-
It's all been done.
Oh, so that's been done, yeah, so that's great. I
Click on it
haven't
on the
even
website,
checked.
it takes you to the new searchable.
Okay, cool.
As of, oh,
Last few
a
weeks.
yeah, maybe 2 weeks
Yeah.
or a month ago.
It's been-
Yeah, they asked me a series of questions and I answered those, and I didn't know they had already implemented.
Okay.
That's great. Well, this is one of the
That's
cleanups.
a good change.
Yeah,
So the number 6 is in regards, and I just to understand, any person that owns the property, that hires anybody, is the way I read this, those people also have to register.
no, it's only the contractor.
Well, contractor or subcontractor, general contractor or subcontractor, right?
They're still a contractor, even if they're a sub, they're still a contractor.
That's what I guess I'm getting at, is,
Yeah.
so, for example, if we, just to make it, if all of our plumbers are busy and you have to, I had to hire somebody to come replace a hot water heater from out of town, I'm not saying that's what I wanted to do.
You would only need, as a plumber, you would only, well, you would
They
only
would
need.
then have to,
Huh?
they would then have to
Register
register and do this, right?
A plumber? Well, for a plumber to work in our community, they would need to have a plumbing registration. And we can charge up to $300 for that, and I think our fee is not, once again, nominal.
Plumbers about,
50.
It's 50.
so that may be a bad example, but anybody,
But anybody that was a residential building contractor, and that's engaged in building a residence. Now, truthfully, I don't know the answer
Well, that's where-
about subcontractors.
So
And
that-
so if you like, we could continue this.
The subcontractors would be a contractor too, right?
Yeah,
yeah. So I guess that's where I'm going with this, is kind of where, the first top of this is actually around the way I think it's meant to be, and that's building a home. But we also include remodeling, we also include all these other things with additions. But down here, it just says, if I'm remodeling, anybody I hire, basically, I have to make sure that they have registered and pay the $20.
So
In
all
turn,
this-
I, as the resident, am gonna end up paying the $20 too, is all I'm,
So all the subs that I use, each one of those will have to, whether there's a permit required or not, they will have to go into the city and be registered, correct?
I cannot answer that question. I did not think it was that broad. Okay, I thought it only applied to a residential building contractor. But then I haven't gone back. All I was asked to do was just to place the fee on the agenda, and I didn't go back and read the state
us,
law.
we're gonna ask you.
I think that's probably what it's supposed to be,
Yeah.
is what your purview is, but,
Yeah.
the wording leads me to believe it could be more than that.
Well, if it is, I'll tell you, we took the.
It should say general contractors.
Well, we took the ordinance right from the state law. There weren't any made-up words in the ordinance. That's right from the state law.
Sure.
But I really would recommend, rather than adopt something, this has been not there for a while.
Well, it's already adopted,
Right, no.
except for the fee.
Adopted. He means adopted.
Oh, I know, and we were required to adopt that.
Right.
But what I would recommend is that we continue this to the next meeting. We hear from Brian. Let me take a look at this ordinance, because I understand your questions.
I was under the impression that it applied to general contractors.
Yeah,
Should.
that is my understanding.
Which I'm okay paying the $20 and keep building houses, but
Right.
now I've got to get every one of my subs in.
No, I wouldn't think that's what the application is, but I need to look at the state law and look at this ordinance again, if that's the way you're reading it. And to answer your question, I'm gonna have to look at it.
Isn't it our choice? I mean, if you're not required to have a fee, isn't it our choice if it applies to a general contractor or to every contractor? I mean, if we're all saying we want it to be.
Well, I think we need to find out what the state law, what the
Agree, but I'm
intent
saying,
of that
yeah,
law is.
that's what I asked him though, and he said the fee is our choice, the fee is not a requirement.
No, I don't think there's you could set a zero, you could set 0 if you wanted to.
I mean, not that we don't need to know it, but I'm just saying it's our choice, it sounds like, on making it easier.
So let's just table this item. Someone make the motion. Table till next.
Motion to table ordinance 2022-23.
So moved. Second, whatever. Second.
You, second?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Jamie. Roll call, please.
Wines,
Yes?
Marshall,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Coffee,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Bond,
Yes.
Goldar,
Yes.
Stroller.
Yes. Item 10, consider approval of ordinance number 2022-22 of the City of Perry, Oklahoma, amending Chapter 16, Article 2 of the Perry Municipal Code 2022 by addition of a new Section 16-209 entitled Fuel Flowage Fee and a Temporary Aerial Application Fee, providing for additional fees at the Perry Municipal Airport, providing for repeat or savings, codification, severability, penalty, and declaring emergency. This is the exact same thing we did in PMA. Terrence, you want to come and talk?
Can you tell us? Go over it again.
I'll make a motion that we approve ordinance number 2022-22.
Mhm.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Wines,
Yes?
Marshall,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Coffee,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Bond,
Yes.
Goldar,
Yes.
Stroller.
Yes, motion on emergency, please.
So moved.
Second?
Roll call.
Wines,
Yes?
Marshall,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Coffee,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Bond,
Yes.
Goldar,
Yes.
Stroller.
Yes, thank you. Item 11, approve the following invoices by Myers Engineering Consulting Engineering Incorporated. The Oto Street groundwater evaluation, $936. Phase 5 sanitary sewer replacement project, $234. Water main replacement, $2,448.89.
You do it all at once?
Yeah.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Wines,
Yes?
Marshall,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Coffee,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Bond,
Yes.
Goldar,
Yes.
Stroller.
Yes, thank you. Item 12, consider approval of resolution number 2022-10 of the City Council of the City of Perry, Oklahoma, authorizing and approving for a trust indenture, creating the Perry Facilities Authority, hereinafter referred to as the Authority, dated the 7th day of November 2022, and acceptance of the beneficiary interest created in such trust indenture, authorizing the mayor and the city council to afflict their signatures to the appropriate documents. This is authority that we want to form to do financing, maybe buy properties, things separate from the city council. Is that correct, Bryce?
And separate from the Perry Municipal
Yes,
Authority.
yes.
The Perry Municipal Authority is our utility authority, and we want to keep that separate. That's involved in financing our utility debt. You know, like many corporations have, you know, many LLCs and you know, many sub-corporations in order to provide more directed scope, because sometimes they have different members, and then also to limit liability. And so, you know, you find businessmen that have 50 different companies, you know. We don't need that many, of course, But, you know, we have the city, which is a municipal corporation. One of its limitations is it can't contract beyond the amount of money that it takes in a given year. Other than that, we have had the Perry Housing Authority. That is kind of inactive. Years and years ago, we had the Perry Economic Development Authority. That kind of got involved in the infamous All-American Corn Project, and we've kind of set that off to the side. But we don't have another authority that we can use to do financing outside of our utilities. And in discussing this, we're really talking about using this first for the hospital transaction. If in fact we're going to issue debt, we would use this facilities authority as the conduit to issue the debt. If there's a new market tax credit component, you would still want to have this authority involved. But if there is a new market tax credit component involved, then it becomes a nonprofit corporation, okay, that you have to have. But, you know, we don't know whether that's going to come in or not. What I do know is that in the hospital agreement, I do have this Perry Facilities Authority as the financing entity. I truly believe we're going to use it for that purpose. If we don't, it could be used to do a host of other economic development work. It could own property, it could lease property, it could do a host of other things which we wouldn't necessarily want to use the Perry Municipal Authority because it's where all our money is and to limit liability. So, I mean, it's a good idea to have one of these. I believe we're going to use it for the hospital agreement, but if we are, we need to have it in place. It needs to be signed. It needs to be filed with the county. It needs to be filed with the Secretary of State. It needs to be filed with the state auditor. And that gives it existence. Without that, there's no existence. So it would have to precede the hospital agreement. Now, you know, I mentioned here that the hospital agreement may be on the next agenda. You know, I'm working with Stillwater on that, and it will be when they help direct it. But I will tell you, given today's meeting and a lot of other things, and the fact that the REH is in place and all, that's all coming, and it's coming quickly. So to do this, you have to, what this council does is it has to accept beneficial interest. It actually creates and accepts beneficial interest in that trust. If you remember what the city council does with respect to any of your trusts, it appoints its members and it approves any indebtedness that trust does. It has to approve the indebtedness. In this particular trust indenture, you are the trustees. So, you know, it's just you wearing a different hat. If we do create this next year, we're going to set up regular meetings, whether we do those quarterly or whether we set those up at the same time that we set up the city council and the Perry Municipal Authority meeting. We may also have a Perry Facilities Authority meeting, which does very little until it's necessary to do something. But that's why this is on the agenda.
Not to make your speech any longer, but it would also be subject to audit.
It would also be subject to audit, yes.
And part of our annual financial statements.
A little bit of cost, not, you know, not a,
Oh, no, I just.
yeah.
the
And,
tracking
we will get
reporting
it
of
endorsed as a part of our OMEG policy. So that you as trustees, which is something that we need to do once we get this created, we will get it endorsed as covered under OMEG. So we're gonna have to write a letter on that. Let's not forget that.
And we have to sign it.
Yes, there are several places that you have to sign.
On where it has Jamie's name as trustee 11 instead of 9, the I comes before the X.
Oh, okay.
9.
Well, thank you for catching that.
Minutia.
No, thank you for that.
Yeah. How many places that is? That's the first one I saw. Yeah. 17, 19. Yeah.
We have a motion to approve the creation of the new trust indenture.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Wines,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Coffee,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Goldar,
Yes.
Strell.
Yes, thank you. Item 13, consider permitting an additional police officer to be hired to replace an officer going on deployment for a year and a half, and an officer working light duty as a dispatcher for the next 6 months. Brian, do you want to address this?
Currently, we're staffed full-time, counting myself, at 14 officers. We have an officer that's leaving in February. He'll be gone for a year and a half of deployment. I have an officer that was actually injured in an altercation. He's out for 6 months right now, so he's in dispatch. And I have an officer that's been off 2 months. And he goes to the doctor tomorrow to see if he can return to work. So what we're asking, if we could get our count to 15, and I want to get one hired to where I'm looking for possibly a certified officer with experience. They come in here, we teach them our way, and when he leaves for the year and a half, we're still at 14, but when he comes back a year and a half, we have to let him have his job, because that's what we got to do. And by then, I'm hoping, our economy's better, sales tax is up, and we can supplement and have that 15th officer when he does come back. Right now, we're on track. The 16 years I've been with this department, I've only gone 1 calendar year without turnover. If I can make it till December 31st, we'll have my 2nd year in 16 years that we hadn't had any turnover. So the way we are with hiring and people resigning and going elsewhere, I think we just wanted where it's approved at 15, and if everything's rolling good, and when he does come back in a year and a half, we would be at 15 then, but we're just asking for the 15 when that does happen. I mean, we're still gonna be at 14 for the next 2 years, but keeping his job open as well.
So he doesn't get any pay from the city while
No,
he's
he
on.
will not be paid, so hiring one to replace, we're just where we're at now, but we will be at 15 with his position still available when he comes back.
What about benefits or anything like that? Nothing.
No, he's on military, and he just
Okay.
leave of absence, and he'll come back and go from there.
What if you lose somebody in that time period, you lose, or not, I don't mean lose.
If somebody
So
was to leave or
someone
whatever.
leaves, so would you replace them, or would you
Yes,
stay at
that would be, if we can get our
So
count
your
up.
count would be still remain at the 15?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, with Davis leaving, there is a new statute that came out that says the city has to match his pay if he does not make what he makes here currently, if he's gone. But I believe with his ranking in the military, he is actually gonna be over that, so that won't be a factor. He'll still get his military leave each year, once it resets, but it's 30 days worth. So that's what he's allotted anyway via the Military USERA Act.
And Officer Davis is one of his officers right now, it's on shifts, so, but we've had to move him to days because he's leaving soon, plus we're shorthanded, so they're at 2-man shifts right now.
Thank you.
Like the three.
No, you're good, thank you.
So, we're looking at, once we hire this officer, we can't ever let him go. I mean, we could, but we wouldn't ever want to do that. And we're looking at, I don't know, just talking to Meredith, $60,000 to employ this person. And really, that is the amount of money we should be dealing with at a budget time. Not promoting another $60,000. And what's our deficit this year?
General fund is budgeted at $600,000 loss.
$600,000 loss.
But the budget does include the officer who's leaving on deployment, which is what we're talking about, right?
That is true. But this is an expense from now on. We're not hiring someone just for this. This will be an expense from now on.
In a year and a half.
A reoccurring
Yeah.
expense.
So it seems like though every month there's a big chunk of overtime. Would adding an extra person cut that down?
Yeah, if overtime, I mean, if I had, let's like, if we have a 3-man shift, say somebody's sick, okay, let's do it right now, 2-man shift. If one of these guys were sick, somebody's having to come in and work tonight overtime on their day off. At 3-man shifts, if somebody's sick or they have a class that they need to attend for training, we're not having to bring anybody in for overtime because there's still 2 guys out on shift. And it just works a lot better, but yeah, if we're running 2-man shifts and, I mean, like our city manager's sick, things happen and they have to come in and fill that position because we are shorthanded. At a 3-man shift, we're good. So it would eliminate a lot of overtime. You gotta do apples and oranges, what's better, overtime or a salary? But whenever you got a guy coming in and working 4 days straight and then he has to come in and work another 2 or 3, they get to the burnout phase. And so, and a lot of that has been turnover with us is the burnout and not having enough staff here and they go elsewhere, go to Stillwater and have a 90-man department, you're never gonna get called in anyway because there's plenty of officers, but it's just, I don't know, I look at our, if you put the match or the numbers to it, census last year said we were at 44,521 people in the city of Perry. And if you put 14 officers, that's 1 officer for every 321 people in town. So I don't know what the stats are showing nation what you're supposed to have officer per capita, but I mean, I'm really optimistic. I hope someday we're at a 25-man department with economic development. We spread out, we grow. That would be incredible, but we are doing better right now. We are getting things in. I'm hoping more residents move to Perry and everything seems to be on the up right now, and we're just asking for the 1 officer to get us by because we are 3 down right now with the injuries and everything. Or 2 down with the injury plus 1 going on deployment.
So, do we have those numbers available by chance? Overtime numbers and things like that?
I do not have overtime numbers, but we can run those.
So potentially though, next budget, if we do have some turnover, at that point we could discuss it, right? I mean, just not filling that position. I mean, that's always an option. Not saying that's for sure, but that's something we could talk about. That I get where you're coming from because we're not just gonna turn around and relieve.
They can't say you're out, just because the other guys.
And I would be open to that if we could get 15, which you're still going to be at 14 with the leaving and bring just another officer on. But a year and a half from now, if Love shuts down and we're starting to go, that's at the council anyway. Job cutbacks, it's been discussed for years. Every time we come into budget that we may have to cut back on personnel. And that's just, we cross that bridge when it does happen if that's what it is. But I'm hoping that we will continue to grow and more people come to town and it'd be great.
And how likely is it that you're gonna get an officer to come in here for a year and a half?
You're not,
No.
that's what he said that you're gonna.
You're not.
They'll be permanent.
No.
They'd be
But you may
permanent.
lose another officer because.
Well, no, but, I mean, we need one.
Yeah, I mean, that's,
I can remember you begging to get to 13.
I had 17 officers in 2009.
Yeah, and now we're trying, you get to 13, I'll be good. Now we're trying to get to 15, we'll be good.
Well, I mean, in '09, we didn't have the crimes and stuff and the population we did, and we were at 17, and we had 3 officers quit, and then we just said, well, we'll just keep it at 14 now, but we were at 17, 12 years ago, 13 years ago.
Where does that put us with cars and everything though?
You wanna go into executive session, turn the cameras off, I can give you a bunch of stuff.
We're not
on
talking
that.
about helicopters, we're talking about.
Car-wise, right now, we're,
Why'd you have to go there?
I
Sorry.
mean, we gotta have cars to do our jobs, but I
Right.
mean,
That's
right now,
basic.
we're sharing quite a bit because of stuff that's going wrong with cars, and when you're sharing, it's putting a lot more wear and tear on them, and then they're not gonna last as long, but, we ordered 2 cars 9 or 10 months ago, we haven't seen those yet, and Now it's almost time to, look, we should have had these and maybe talking about some more cars to replace. All of our cars are at 60 to 80,000 miles and. I
This
mean,
isn't
these-
budget time. Come on
I
now.
know. Hey,
Come
you
on,
asked.
chief. I mean,
So-
but along that line, I mean, so we're 4 months into the fiscal year. I mean, we spent 2.5 months going through budget and planning and nailing down and meeting and multiple meetings, trying to hash out a budget. And here we are, not even halfway through the budget, and we're talking about people and cars and all that
Yeah,
kind of
well, I
stuff.
mean, the incident with an officer leaving, that kind of put us in a setback. We didn't have that at budget time
Yeah, I mean,
with the
I get
military.
it.
I mean,
I think we're all,
Yeah.
but we've all, in any situation, I mean, even now, I mean, we're down 3 CPAs, you know? You kind of just figure out how to make it work, so,
yeah.
just the budget idea.
So is it something where you can go ahead and hire somebody to have in that position and then say in July we revisit?
Well, if we hire that person, let's play, if we hired a person to, because he's leaving in February, what if the military calls and said, hey, we're not sending you guys now? Then we just hired a person for 3 or 4 months. I mean, that's his deployment papers right now is 1.5 years gone. But it could change. I don't know. I'm not, that's the government, so,
We have to have his position for him when he comes back.
yeah.
I mean, there's no
Yeah, you
ifs, ands, or
can't.
buts about
Well,
that.
that's what I'm
And
saying.
you can't,
If you do it,
You gotta leave it open for him. He's an employee and whenever he goes on military leave, you have to leave that position open when he gets back. It's not like, well, you need to reapply. No, he left and.
And we're not gonna bring in somebody to hire an officer and go, when this guy gets back in a year, you're out.
Are there any,
That's the other side of
are
it,
there
right.
any temporary agencies for police officers?
No. Good luck even trying to get police anymore. It's a dying profession. Nobody wants to do this job.
I'll send Brad now.
Come on.
No.
So,
He's too old.
but that's why it was brought up. I
You
mean,
know-
we just, to cover us, you have to put it on there at 15, but
What happened to our reservist
I'm
program?
just getting ready to.
You know, that's a program we used to have. We had a handful of reservists.
they're trying, good luck putting that out. Then I have to send them to school and they come in, they don't get paid their voluntary work. And to get them to come in on a weekend whenever, they're like, I'm going after my kids, I'm not working. You can't make a schedule, it's volunteer purpose only.
All right, any further questions for Brian?
I would like to understand more of the overtime and where we are on that budget to be able to help look at the full picture. You can get that right.
We wanna table this, we wanna move on, what do you wanna do, council?
I think without the numbers, it'd be really tough to make a decision.
so what's that a motion to table?
I move to table this until we get more financial things aligned to know about overtime and things like that, so we have a better picture of if we hired another person for $60,000, how much of that would take the overtime away. Overtime is time and a half.
Well, the overtime's not gonna go away for a while, because
But
we're
it could
losing an
go up.
officer, you know?
And it would go up,
Yeah.
but we at least know where we're at now. Brendan, did you say that one of your officers would also find out this week when they get to come back?
Tomorrow he goes to the doctor, hopefully he gets released, bring me back one.
So if we table it to then too, we'll know more about that situation as well.
And he's not set to leave till February.
Correct.
So we have a motion. Do you have a second?
Second?
Second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Wines,
Yes?
Marshall,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Coffee,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Goldar,
Yes.
Stroller.
Yes, thank you. Item 14, consider advertising for the bids at the Hay Meadows and set December 13th, 2022 at 10 a.m. for the date to receive bids.
What is the Hay Meadows?
We have Hay Meadows around Perry Lake. We have leases. I don't know if this includes the hay meadow at the airport. Does it, Bryce?
No.
Should be
No.
a separate one.
That's just one up by,
Yeah, just the ones around the lake.
I mean, 435.
This is just opening it up for bid.
Yeah. I
Yeah, I
don't
was
think
gonna say, I make a motion that we advertise for the bidding process for Hay Meadows set for December 13th.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Wines,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Coffee,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Bond,
Yes.
Goldar,
Yes.
Stroller.
Yes, thank you. Item 15, consider approval of specifications and authorize advertisement and solicitation of requests for qualifications of engineering services for the engineering and design of certain water lines. Bryce?
Yeah,
What's this?
well, part of the big water improvement project that got dropped out because of price was the project that's being discussed in this agenda item. And that included some of the bores under the railroad. We have a possibility of being able to receive $1 million of ARPA funds for that through the OWRB, but part of the process is that you have to put out an RFQ or an RFP for engineer. And that engineer that you end up hiring then can design it, and you can get down and hopefully quickly pick up some of this money. So we have put this on your agenda. Do approve the advertisement. We'll get those in, bring you back a decision, contract with that person, try to get a shovel-ready project, and get $1 million free dollars. Finish what our project is. That's the plan.
And this doesn't commit us, it just says.
It's just putting out the RFP.
Motion to approve specifications, advertisement, and solicit proposals.
Second.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Wines,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Coffee,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Bond,
Yes.
Goldar,
Yes.
Stroller.
Yes, thank you. Item 16, a receipt of $68,461.76 from the OMAG Loss Fund for the 2019-2020 Workman's Compensation Plan year. We want to turn around and deposit this back into our fund and escrow account, help pay bills when it comes to that time.
It says no action is needed.
Cool.
It's really just acknowledged that
Yep.
we received those dollars, yes.
If you want to use them, you actually have to have an action on it. like
Yeah, but
apply
we're
for it.
suggesting they just stay there and we'll use them when it's time to use them.
Is it-
It's money. It stays there. They don't write a check back to
no.
us, you can only apply it to your
No,
premium.
no, no.
Item
Yeah,
17.
that would have been a nice swap.
Item 17, any new business that needs to come before the council? Seeing none. At this time, I would like to go reconvene into the PMA, get that meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Is it yes right here?
Let me get there. Okay.
Aye.
Yes. Yes. It's yes.
It's yes.
Wines,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
Just
White,
Yes.
Coffee,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Bond,
Yes.
Goldar,
Yes.
Stroller.
Yes. Motion to adjourn the PMA.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Wines,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Coffee,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Bond,
Yes.
Goldar,
Yes.
Stroller.
Yes. Item 18, consider convening an executive session to confer on a matter pertaining to economic development of the city of Perry, to discuss a proposal to entice the location of a residential developer into the community to build single-family dwellings, duplexes, and multifamily housing, and thereby approve economic development of the city of Perry, as public disclosure of the proposal will interfere with the development and implementation of the proposal. Item 2, to confer on a matter pertaining to economic development of the city of Perry, to discuss a proposal to remodel and extend the lease of the hospital, and thereby approve the economic development of the city of Perry, as public disclosure of the proposal will interfere in the development and implementation of the proposal. And in the additional discussion related to economic development issues related to the potential of adding or loss of additional tenants for such facility. And number 3, to purchase and/or appraisal of certain real property located in the Hughesville addition pursuant to Title 25-307 of Oklahoma statutes.
Motion to convene an executive session.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Wines,
Yes?
Marshall,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Coffee,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Bond,
Yes.
Goldar,
Yes.
Stroller.
Yes. Okay, I need a motion to reconvene in the regular session.
So moved.
Second?
Roll call, please.
Wines,
Yes?
Marshall,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Coffee,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Goldar,
Yes.
Stroller.
Yes. Item 20, take any action pursuant to executive session. Hearing none. 21, motion on adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
Why is that always the easiest motion to make? Roll call.
Wines, yes. Marshall,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Coffee,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Goldar,
Yes.
Stroller.
Yes.